Well, the Canadians are buzzing in Montreal because Victoria Mboko, the 18-year-old sensation, just beat Coco Gauff on center court in Montreal in front of a full house, sold out crowd, going crazy. And straight sets. Yeah, Coco Gauff didn't play her best match, but anyone that's watches tennis and knows and sees Victoria Mboko play can tell now that she's definitely the real deal, and she's a superstar in the making, I think, on the WTA tour. So we're going to break down that result. We're going to look at the Montreal draw, what's been going on there. We're going to look into Toronto, where Alexei Popyrin is amazingly making a title defense. So we'll get into the Canadian snooze here on the slice, presented by Wetway. Let's get into it. Well, I've got a big announcement to make for the Canadian fans or fans of Canadian tennis. We are throwing an event to kick off the US Open in New York. So, this is the first time we've ever done this. It's a pretty big risk on our end, but we wanted to make an event in the lead up to the US Open to celebrate Canadian tennis. So, we are launching Canada House, the official US Open party of Canadian tennis. August 23rd in Manhattan at the Canuck. It's a bar. It's an amazing Canadian bar. And we are collecting fans, tennis people, personalities, media, coaches, players. Everyone's going to be there on August 23rd. I'm flying in for it, and it's going to be a great night. So if you're in New York during that week or that day, you got to come. The link is below for more information. You can get tickets. And if you've been a fan of the slice for a while and you're in the area, I would super appreciate you getting a ticket and coming out and being a part of the night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I will be doing some like kind of live interviews with different people who are there, but we don't know everyone who's going to be there yet. So you got to get a ticket and find out. We'll see you at Canada House in New York. Thanks for supporting the slice. Okay, on that Canadian note, Victoria Mboko is our queen. She, the 18-year-old, bursts onto the scene in Montreal tonight, beating Coco Gauff in pretty amazing fashion. But the story starts much before that. In Canada, many of us have known about Victoria for a while. She's always had a huge potential playing as a 15, 16-year-old in pro events. But at the start of 2025, she, I believe, went on a 27-0 run at the ITF level. That number might be wrong, but I believe it was 28-1 at one point in Miami, where I first saw her play live this year. I watched her beat Camelia Osorio, and then I interviewed her, and then I saw her almost beat Paula Badoza and she was pushing Paula Badoza around on the court. She was probably the stronger player from the baseline in that match. So I just thought like she is for sure destined to be on the WTA tour at a higher level. She was ranked around like 150 at that time in the world, but now she's worked her way up to where she's after the result today, it's going to be around 50 in the world, but that all is just the precursor. I think it's clear that she's a star, going to be at the top of the game here pretty quick, and she just beat Coco Gauff in straight sets in Montreal, and it was electric. You could see how she's just got that youthful energy, but she's got a mature game. So if I had to compare her to Coco Gauff, Coco is probably the best athlete on the WTA tour. She can move like no one else can, and she, for some of the parts, the parts in her game that are technically not sound or can have the yips at different times, her movement and athleticism make up for it. So her serve can get really squirrely, has throughout her career. Her forehand has a bit of a weird technique that's always bothered her, and she's always had trouble on that wing. But she's made up for it with athleticism, and she's done incredibly well, obviously. Victoria Mboko is, I would say, bigger. She's like naturally bigger, stronger. Not as flexible or fast, maybe, but she's more of a power player in that way. And then she has more classic strokes. Like her forehand is a cleaner, better technique, I would say. And her serve is a better technique as well, just power. And she can play a full court game. So she's like a bigger, stronger, more power player and has just strokes that when the pressure gets big, you can rely on not having to worry too much about technique, I feel. So she's got all these weapons in her game. She's got a weapon serve, weapon forehand, and she can play the full court. Like I saw her defend in Miami. I've seen her in her transition game is great. And she's a fighter. She's got a killer instinct, and she showed that tonight, winning in 2 sets. Didn't look like Coco Gauff played a great match. Didn't play her best at all, but as an opponent to that, you can easily let them into it by not taking your chances. And Victoria Mboko took her chances tonight and got it done big time. So she wins, and she's got Montreal and Canada on fire. Like she has, like she's got them eating out of the palm of her hand. She's on all the networks. She's talking. She's 18 years old. So for Canadian tennis, this is an amazing result and amazing kind of new player on the horizon. We've got Gabriel Diallo really shooting up the rankings on the men's side. He did the best out of any Canadian in Toronto. We'll get to that. And Victoria Mboko did better than anyone else in so far in Montreal, and it's not done yet. So let's take a look at the Montreal draw here. As you can see on the screen, purple might not be super easy to read, but hopefully you can manage. So Victoria Mboko beats Coco Gauff 6-1, 6-4. She'll play the winner of the match, which is currently going on, Zhu versus Buzez Minero. So that's going to be a great, in the quarterfinals, that'll be an opportunity for Vicky Mboko to win now. It'll be tough because she'll have the expectation on her to kind of win. She just beat the number 1 seed player. These players are ranked a lot lower, and we kind of know for a fact Vicky can win. So maybe we'll see how she handles the pressure. It can be more difficult in some ways than as your total underdog versus Coco. You're not the underdog really against these other players, so there's more pressure. So we'll see how she handles that. But then the other match on the top is Kostyuk versus Rybakina. Great match. And so, if Victoria can get through her quarterfinal in the semifinals, she'll play Kostyuk or Rybakina, which is that's a great match as well. And another opportunity for her to just, put the Canadians over the moon. Anisimova versus Svitolina is the 4th round match tomorrow. That's an amazing match. Anisimova beat Raducanu 6-1, 6-2, I think, earlier. So she's playing well after obviously the Wimbledon final run. And Naomi Osaka versus Sevastova. Naomi Osaka in the mix. That's great. Madison Keys is still around it versus Caroline Muchova. That's a great matchup. And then Clara Tauson versus Iga Swiatek. So on the women's side of the National Bank Open in Montreal, they've got amazing matchups. They've got all the players there except for Sabalenka. They've got a great lineup, and they've got great vibes. So really, tomorrow, Sunday, these bottom half matches will play. And then Monday on the long weekend in Montreal, Victoria Mboko will play again at night, I'm sure. And that is just going to be another crazy night in Montreal of her trying to keep the party going. And it will be crazy. I'm sure what the tickets there would be pretty hard to get. So that's very cool to see. Very cool to see for Canadian tennis. Very cool to see for Victoria Mboko, who, like I said, we talked to in Miami. She seems like a great girl. She gave us the time. She is a great player. She's got a great head on her shoulders. And yeah, she's a superstar for Canadian tennis. Definitely. So let's go over to Toronto, where I just got back from. I was credentialed there in Toronto. Had a great time seeing behind the scenes at SoBi Stadium and getting to see a lot of you. So shout out to whoever, a few of you. One guy who works for Hawkeye came up and said hi. Shout out, I'm forgetting the name right now. But some of the other volunteers and people around the stadium. So great to see you guys. The vibes in Toronto were great. Stayed at Hotel X, amazing facility there at the 10XTO Athletic Club. That was unreal. So I had a great time in Toronto. And if we transition over to the draw there, which should now be on your screen, Alexei Poprin is somehow putting together an amazing title defense. He just beat Holger Rune after beating Daniil Medvedev, which is pretty crazy because he hadn't won back-to-back matches on hard court since his win last year in Montreal. So that just shows kind of how random that result was last year. I mean, Canada has fast conditions. Like the National Bank Open in Toronto and Montreal are both super fast conditions. It's fast court, ball fast through the air, and the balls are seem to be those Wilson Open, U.S. Open balls are firm and fast. So, but seriously, like after like coming into this week for Alexei Popyrin, you've got 1,000 points to defend. That's a nightmare scenario for a guy who just spent the last 12 months not doing anything. His words, he said, "I haven't really been done anything since last year in Montreal." But he played Nicolas Arsenault, 18-year-old Canadian, who's also very good and I think has a bright future ahead of him. He beat him um, in the second. That was their second. That was Alexei's first match. Nicholas's second match because he won his first main draw win or main draw match. Alexei beat him, and then I believe he beat. We could look at it on the screen here. Yeah. So Popyrin beat Nick Arsenault, and then he beat Medvedev in 3 sets, and then he beat Holger Rune today in 3 sets. So I was big on Holger Rune. I think I said that in the preview to the tournament. He was playing great or his team was feeling good about how he was playing, and he did get the win over Mueller and over Mpeshi Perricard. So he was getting going, and I feel like if he had beaten Popyrin playing Zverev, that's a tournament. This is a tournament that Holger could have won for sure. But Popyrin, massive serve, massive game. It's like, and he's playing aggressive. So he's hitting big serves and he's hitting winners, going for winners, forehand or backhand. Very aggressive, paying off in the fast court, and yeah, defending his title so far. So he will play the winner of, or he'll play Zverev next, actually, because Zverev beat Cerundolo, who retired in their match. But yeah, that's pretty much the story on the men's side, I think, for Popyrin so far. Mickelson beats Tien after Tien had beaten Shapovalov and then Opelka. Big disappointment for Shapovalov there, and we can talk about it now. So Shapovalov, Felix came into this tournament as, with the top guys there. Everyone was talking about it. We were hoping for them or Gabriel Diallo to make a deep run here in Toronto, and it didn't happen. Shapovalov lost in straight sets to Tien after being up a break and serving for both sets. So his words were his loss was almost 100% mental. So he's essentially saying he got tight, he was nervous, and he essentially choked because he was in control of the match the whole time. He's the better player. He has more upside than Lerner Tien, no offense. And he just threw that one away in both sets after being up serving for it. So it's not like Lerner's not an amazing opponent and it's not tight, but you lose that break, you're back to on serve, and clearly the nerves were affecting Shapovalov. And yeah, he's super disappointed in that. Then Felix Auger-Aliassime plays who did he play? Fabian Marozsan, and he loses 6-4, 6-4, also up a break in both sets. So 4 sets from our two guys. Both of them were up a break in all the sets and lost all the sets. So Felix, to me, also looks super nervous, super uncomfortable there. And Fabian, to be fair, made some crazy shots. It was a super windy, swirly night. So Felix couldn't play his game. He couldn't be aggressive. And Fabian somehow was able to hit through the wind in some moments of the match to get these points that seemed a bit ridiculous. So Felix looked super frustrated and flustered and confused out there because of that. But in general, it's going to sound like I'm making excuses for our guys, and I kind of am, but I really was thinking about it this week, and I don't know if anyone on tour faces as much home court pressure as our Canadians do, because Canada has a Masters 1000, but that's the only tournament we have on the pro tour level, on like the top level. So they have one tournament a year that matters that they play on home soil, and it's a huge Masters 1000, which everything gets more difficult at. Compare that to Americans or Italians or Spaniards, who the Americans have like infinite tour level type tournaments. They got like 3 Masters and a major and a bunch of 250s and a ton of challengers. So their entire career, Americans are playing at home. So they're used to it. And there's also way more Americans in the top 100. Italians, there's more tour level tournaments. There's a Masters 1000, but they have also more Italians in the top 100. And same with Spain. They have the Madrid Open, but they also have Barcelona. They also have other 250s and challengers. Maybe not other 250s now I think of it, but they've got more exposure, more players in the top 100. So we've got, on the men's side, it was Felix and Dennis for the last 5 years, and they've struggled at home because they feel that pressure. They give back to the tournaments big time, and this is a tournament, I would say, where they both just got tight and lost to dangerous players from winning positions, and it sucks. So that's, I think, a fair summary, and I think that people don't understand how mental tennis is at the top level still. Like, it's insane. So that's that. That's a disappointing tournament, I would say, in Toronto for the organizers, with the top guys not being there and the Canadians losing early, but they've still got Zverev, Fritz, Popper, and trying to defend his title. So they've got good players there that will be exciting as the tournament goes on. But yeah, I think that's a pretty fair breakdown of the draw there. But the real story for Canadian tennis right now, Victoria Mboko in Montreal. The dream is alive. She's a star. She's not going anywhere. So yeah, she's one to watch for Canada and one to watch on the WTA tour. And then, where you have to be on August 23rd? Canada House, New York City, the official US Open party of Canadian tennis. It's at the Canuck. It's in Manhattan. It's going to be a great vibe. So if you or anyone you know is going to the US Open, send them the links below, and we'll see you there. Appreciate the support. Thanks for watching The Slice. Leave your comments down below as always, and we will see you next time here on the channel.